thing.
to
If
this.
I
Because
draw blood,
is it ethnic lines?
if you have a blood sample of a black individual and a white individual, I can't tell you which one is which. If I have a blood sample of a man and a woman, I can tell you which one is which, just by running very simple elementary blood tests. So, for example, if there was a Hispanic or a white, there is no difference in the genetic coding. There just isn't.
Why is it important that someone's... okay.
My next claim is that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate. A lot of competition, Mason.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Can I define what a DEI candidate is?
I think that you're going to say because she's black and she's a woman, she was appointed because Joe Biden promised that, and it's not a testament to her success.
Not only that, but also in her getting the nomination of the Democrat Party, they said repeatedly, we do not want to pass over a black female.
Okay.
So just those two things, but the first one is stronger. You're right. Joe Biden said, I'm going to put on my vice presidency a black female. Right. So his criteria was
kept.
Yeah, and that was like Karen Bass and Kamala Harris.
Okay.
So she was not chosen because of her intellect or her accomplishments or because of any of that. It was because she happened to fit a couple boxes. In fact, Amy Klobuchar, the vetting at the time was that Amy Klobuchar would have been a better VP, and Kamala ended up getting it. So it's just a statement of fact that she is there not because of her brilliance or accomplishments, but because of her ethnicity.
So Kamala Harris, first and foremost, there are a lot of criticisms that you can give to her on why she wouldn't be an effective president. It shouldn't be because she's a woman or because she's black. And it seems to be that you're saying that.
No, I just want people to understand and agree she didn't earn this.
She absolutely did. She has a career where she's been not only a DEA.
DEI stands for
one of the biggest.
Didn't earn it, just so we're clear. But like
it stands for diversity, equity, inclusion. I like the meme though.
I know what it is. But do you at least admit and acknowledge that when Joe Biden was searching for a VP, he cared more about skin color and a female than the smartest, best person?
So the whole conversation with this affirmative action with DEI, the whole reason why people bring it in is to make this imaginary scenario that there's a super qualified white man who was overpassed by this unqualified, stupid, idiot person of color, which is such a terrible analogy because it's not true.
His own team
it's absolutely not true.
Mason,
that's not what it is. Joe Biden did not say, I'm going to choose an unqualified person and just because she's black.
His own team
He's
said
saying that I'm going to have two qualified people. If one comes from a different experience, it might be better to have a diversity and have a better perception in forms of government.
He said at the South Carolina debate that I will pick a black woman as my vice president. Secondly, Amy Klobuchar came out.
Is this a random black woman that he plucked off the street? Or is this a qualified DEA general attorney who's had a decorated career leading government positions? But you keep rambling about things that just aren't relevant to what we're talking about.
It is relevant. Amy Klobuchar in vetting came across as the more qualified candidate.
Why?
Because they said Kamala Harris wasn't very smart, wasn't very bright. That's their own vetting documents.
From who?
Joe Biden's own vetting documents
So why would he go against that?
Because the base of the Democrat Party demands tribal politics and DEI politics over competency.
That's completely inaccurate.
He stated Jim Clyburn said, I will only endorse you in the South Carolina primary if you say that you're going to put a black person, preferably a black female, on your ticket with you. Therefore, you winnow the entire universe down and say, I'm only going to choose from this criteria. And let's just think more broadly. If you're about to have heart surgery, would you rather have a heart surgeon that's good and excellent, knows what he's doing, or someone that is a black female? And being president's more important than being a heart surgeon.
Aren't you on record saying that you'd be terrified if there was a black pilot
that
was flying your airplane?
I did say that, but why?
Okay, cool.
What was the full quote?
I personally, I don't know. If you want to expand on that.
So this ties into this. United Airlines said that half of all their new hirees are going to be black or women, and that standards and pursuit of excellence is not going to be taken as seriously as diversity. When I'm flying a plane, I want to know my pilot is there because they're a good pilot, not because they fit some DEI box.
Damn it, I wish we could have a better conversation.
I'm sorry, man. Fast, man.
Okay, so let's say that Kamala Harris was the DEI hire as vice president. Do you think she's also a DEI hire as the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, they decided to go to her almost immediately because she is the VP, but also because she fits some criteria boxes. But let me ask you.
You don't think it's because Joe Biden nominated or said
No, for sure, that's part of it. Of course it is. But let me ask you, what's her greatest achievement or accomplishment?
Her greatest achievement or accomplishment? I'd say her greatest achievement or accomplishment is completely destroying the Republican Party within like 2 weeks of being nominated. Like in the polls, she's just absolutely...
Huh? Sorry. How are you? Nice to see you. What's your name?
Amanda.
Amanda.
So you believe because Kamala is black, and a woman. She was chosen for
It's
vice
not my own
president.
belief. Her own team, Joe Biden said that. He said,
Biden said that?
Yeah, he said, I'm first, because beforehand he said, I'm going to choose a black female for vice president. He didn't say, I'm going to choose the most gifted or the most talented or the most accomplished. He said, I'm going to choose a black female. And so by definition, that is DEI.
That is not the definition of DEI. By him saying that he was going to choose a black female, that could insinuate that he already had Kamala in mind for the role. No way does that insinuate that she's DEI.
Well, what is DEI then?
DEI would be...
Choosing somebody based on their race?
No, it's giving people of color the opportunity to be welcomed into spaces in which they typically
Like Kamala
aren't
Harris?
able to get
There's
into.
never been a female black vice president.
And why do you think that is?
Well, not why. You just said that's DEI. So
That
by definition, she's DEI.
okay, so she
So
represents diversity within the government.
Well,
Is
no,
what
but
you're
you're saying she got elevated because she was a black female. Because
If that were the case, I'd be the president right now.
do you think Kamala Harris was chosen because of her intelligence?
Her qualifications and her intelligence.
Really? Wow.
If you
What's her
compare a
what's her
speech
greatest
with
accomplishment?
Kamala,
What's her greatest
probably
accomplishment?
being prosecutor within the Northern Californian
Oh, really?
area.
You mean letting out violent criminals and turning San Francisco one of the most murderous, dangerous, arson-filled, homeless-filled slums in the country?
Wow.
That's her greatest accomplishment?
See, I actually went to UC Berkeley, so I lived there. I don't know if you did. I went around
Berkeley
the area.
is a slum.
Berkeley is a slum. Have you stepped into Berkeley?
Yes, I have. You think Oakland and Berkeley?
Have you lived in Berkeley?
Do you
I've lived in Oakland as well.
do you think-
You're basing your
You think the Bay
information...
Area is like a good area in this country?
I'm from Vegas, so I'm not from the Bay. Born and raised in Vegas and went to UC Berkeley. Just graduated this year. What you're saying, literally in no way, shape,
So I
or
just
form
want to be
makes
clear.
sense.
So you think her overseeing San Francisco becoming the laughingstock of the country is
San
her greatest
Francisco is not
accomplishment?
the laughingstock of the country. If anything, that's Florida. No offense, but
Well, hold on. If that's the case, why are millions of people moving to Florida and millions of people leaving California?
because there are cheaper rates there. People are moving to Las Vegas.
Hold on.
Las Vegas has
hold on
changed
a
as a
second.
whole.
It's cheaper because it's a better run state, and we don't give money to
Listen,
illegals,
Northern
and we
California
have
is
better
not
schools and
all.
lower
Northern
crime.
California is not the entirety of California.
Hold on a second, but
there's Southern California, Northern California.
Why
you
is
know,
it that
it's
so
a
many
very big
businesses
state.
are leaving San Francisco if she did such a great job lowering crime?
Do you know businesses go where things are cheapest to operate?
Why are they cheaper? Because they're better run states.
Do you realize that California is one of the most populated states within the U.S.? So obviously
So is
costs are going to
Texas
be
and
higher.
California.
Not only that, but land within this state is also very,
Yes.
very, very minimal. So
Well,
that's
hold on, you have tons of land. You're one of the biggest states
yes,
in
it
the
is
country.
one of the biggest lands. But do you also take into account the population that's here?
Yes.
And due
Florida
to that,
and Texas have a greater combined population than California. And California has more population and more land mass than Florida. Why is it that San Francisco has a declining population and Miami, Tampa, Orlando have an increasing population?
what does this have to do with DEI?
Because she ran San Francisco poorly, and she was chosen as a VP because she was a black
She
woman.
didn't run San Francisco poorly.
She was the DA of San Francisco.
so
and then
she's prosecuted.
And then she became the AG of California, where crime went up, homelessness went up, arson went up, kidnapping went
She's
up,
not the
murder went up.
police.
Hold
Isn't
on.
that the job of
Hold
the
on a
police
second.
to get the criminals and for her?
The attorney general of the state is the top cop of the state.
Yes.
And what did she do to lower crime in California?
She convicted those who were guilty.
Why did crime go up?
Because as the population increases and
Then-
this
got it. So
economy gets
why-
worse, no.
why is
As
Flor-
the
why is
economy gets
Florida's
worse,
crime rate going
people
down?
are becoming more and more desperate, which leads to passive crime.
Thank you.
Mine will be quick. Mine will be really quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, you're saying that the only reason she was elected is because she's black?
Well, first
So
of all,
that trumps her being a district attorney and all
First
the
of all, this is
accomplishments
not
she
my
has?
words. I'm just going on Joe Biden's own words.
Okay.
Joe Biden said, I'm going to preset criteria based on black women, and therefore she met that criteria, and that's why she was selected.
No, why? I think what he was trying to say is, she's just black. She was just calling her black. She's not saying I'm doing. He's
No,
not saying
he made a
he's
public
not
promise.
saying I'm doing this because she's black.
No,
That's not what she
He
said.
made a public promise before the selection even began and the process began. I will put a black woman on the ticket.
So you're saying her being district attorney doesn't matter. That's not why.
No, I
but
think she
yet,
did- no,
but
I'm
yet
saying she
Trump
did an awful
being
job.
a failed businessman and
Well-
making all the weird comments he's made.
Well, hold on a
That
second.
doesn't have any like.
What I'm getting at, though, is that if she was not a black woman, she never would have been chosen as vice president. Her
I think
record
that's
was
true.
abysmal. She was a terrible attorney general of California. She did
No.
poorly. I'll be quick.
I'm so sorry.
She gets the next one.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just have to know. Do you think Tim Walz is a DEI
Yes.
candidate? Okay. I just wanted to see if
No,
you're consistent on that.
DEI does not mean black. Tim Walz was only chosen because the Democrat Party is doing so poorly with white men that they tried to find a white man that they could put on the ticket.
But then also,
It's true. Tim Walz is the first white DEI candidate in history.
Okay, in the Democratic primaries, Kamala Harris was
it's true.
performing incredibly
He
well.
agrees.
And she wasn't performing well in the primaries just because she was black. She was performing well in the primaries because during her time as a senator, she spoke incredibly eloquently.
Look,
I used to watch when
Hold
I
on a
was
second.
little.
How
Yeah.
did she do in the Democrat primaries?
She did like much better than Amy Klobuchar.
Hold on. She didn't even make it to Iowa. She dropped out months ahead of the first primary. Super unpopular, not well liked. Her campaign fizzled out. So she was
popular
awful.
initially.
Initially, yes. And then
Yes.
the more people learned about her, the more realized she was awful.
Well, it was mostly because like progressives are really upset about her being a DA, which like can be like that's a
Hold
completely
on.
different
Why
conversation.
aren't progressives
But-
upset about that now?
I mean, they are, but
They are?
But
That's news to me.
But, I
Everyone's
mean,
talking about how great a
no,
prosecutor she is.
progressives are definitely upset about the like how like the Biden administration has handled like the atrocities in Gaza and how like there are definitely things that Democrats are upset about. However, that's not the point of this conversation. And
That's correct. That is not the point.
that's
Correct.
not the point. What the point is that a lot of
Aw, thanks, guys. Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Great.
So, you keep saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, and I feel like my main fallacy with this argument is that competency can't be objectively determined because we all have subjective definitions of what a competent politician is. But my question for you is if Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, why is she beating Trump in the polls right now?
We'll see what happens in November.
Okay, but she's currently beating Trump in the polls. So either
If the polls are right, I grant you that.
he's incompetent,
Or maybe she's a new
or
candidate with a big surge.
she's doing
I would
good.
caution you being a little like this point in the election getting too cocky because we remember what happened with
I'm not
Hillary
getting
Clinton.
cocky. I'm asking you to answer a question. If she is incompetent, how could she beat
Well,
the president, who you said is an amazing
as of the
president?
timing of this filming,
for-
can you name to me how many times she sat down for an interview?
What?
She refuses to
No.
talk to the press, refuses to take questions. She's done not one sit-down interview in nearly 25 days at the filming of this interview, mind you.
I
which
think
I don't know
that
when
is
this will be
a
posted.
very weird point to make.
Well,
why would
why
I
is it-
count how many times Kamala
Well,
Harris
because
has
it's
had
zero,
an interview?
because she refuses to take questions from the press and media. Like, shouldn't you do that if you're the sitting vice president?
She's
He actually did 3 last Sunday and 1 today with Meet the Press.
so the quality,
with
the
Kirsten
qualification
Walker,
of a
I'm
good
debating her, though.
president is to take an interview.
If you can't take a single question, but let me ask you this because it's on you. What's her greatest accomplishment as vice president?
As vice president, being the first female all-black president. We've
That's-
never had that
No.
before.
Like I got that, but like, what's her accomplishment that made people's lives better?
I don't know. Vice presidents don't really do much, to be honest.
Can you name one thing she's done that's good?
No, probably not. Thank you. The Inflation Reduction Act.
Oh, really? Did that lower inflation? What's your name?
Brad
Nice to
Brady.
meet
Nice
you.
to meet. I like the idea. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds
Let's do
off.
it.
I think the best thing I could say about this is you have your opinion and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there and you're making money from this account while we're sitting
Hold
here
on,
and
hold on,
looking
time out.
stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account. I'm a guest here. This is Jubilee Media, and they're going to edit it as they see fit. Okay, number one. Number two, it needs to be acknowledged that she didn't earn it. She didn't win a Democrat primary. She dropped out in the Democrat primary in 2020. She's never been likable. She's got there simply because of race, not because of competency, not because she's good at her job. And I think that's wrong and it needs to be called out.
You're bringing up qualitative examples. These are all subjective qualitative examples. Her race, her competency, her
Those are
dropping
Joe
out of the
Biden's
election.
words.
That's not what you said earlier. I'm talking about the points you've just brought up,
Okay.
multiple qualitative points. And these points can be believed by you and not by me, as you believe in a God and I don't. These are qualitative arguments that you're making against me for this. And I can believe differently than you, and I think we can agree to disagree on this one.
Okay, fine.
Perfect.
Okay. I think it's going to take the entire time.
You're welcome.
30 on, 30 off.
How do you feel about the Senate?
As far as
College?
her tie-breaking vote of the Senate?
No. I'm just saying like Senate. Like the Senate is technically DEI in a certain sense for like small states. Like Wyoming gets people in Wyoming get a
like
greater
Rhode
vote
Island
than me in
and Hawaii.
California.
Like Rhode Island and Hawaii.
I'm giving you an example. California, I get less of a vote than someone who exists in Wyoming. So we're giving people in Wyoming more say than they necessarily should, given that they're one individual. So why do you believe in DEI as it relates to how our government is set up, but you don't believe in DEI in terms of allowing for people who are black or who are women to be in positions of power that they have not been allowed in historically speaking?
So is the Electoral College and the Senate based on race?
It's predicated off of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
How is
right?
that?
Like inclusion of country areas, inclusion of rural areas, inclusion of white men like you.
Okay, so you mean like Hawaii?
I'm referencing. You could say smaller states or
Yeah,
places that have less people in it.
So-
obviously would be able to have more of a say per individual.
So your argument is that the U.S. Senate is a DEI? I gotta be honest, I've never heard that argument, but I think it's a little silly. But
How is it silly? Argue against it instead of just saying it's silly.
Well, right. So it's silly on its face because, first of all, we have on the House of Representatives a proportional population.
Oh,
Second,
but the Senate isn't. So it's
I-
DEI.
it's not DEI.
Yes, it is.
Why would you say it's diversity, equity, inclusion? Because Wyoming gets 2 senators. They're their
Yeah,
own sovereign
diversity
state, aren't they?
For country areas, for rural areas,
That's-
equity
that's-
for rural
that's
areas.
That's not
right,
the
and for smaller states.
So let's go back to the Federalist Papers and the Founding Fathers. Why was the Senate
Can
composed
you tell me
this
why
way?
it's not DEI? Like under your definition,
Well,
why is
because
it
it's
not
not
DEI?
based on race. And by the way,
It doesn't have to be based
it's
on
also
race.
based. It's not based on
You can have-
equity, and
can't
it's
you
not
have-
based on inclusion.
Can't you have
But
DEI based upon different
let me tell you
characteristics
why.
other than race?
Let me finish.
Whether or not you're a woman, whether or not.
Let me finish. Why? It's because we are a collection of states. We are not a federal project. So states' rights usurp federal. Do you know what the 17th Amendment is?
Do you know why the Articles of Confederation failed?
Yes, but what is the
Why?
10th Amendment?
Because states had too many rights, had too
Right.
much power.
What is the 10th
That's why we
Amendment?
specifically adopted the
Parker,
Constitution.
let me make one point, okay?
Go ahead.
Which is, how did we used to elect senators?
It'd be population.
No. We used to elect senators based on state legislatures. So the Senate is an extension of the state legislative bodies. That's not DEI, that's federalism.
No.
That's the way that our system is
You're
set up,
misunderstanding what I'm
which
saying
is a
is DEI.
bottom-up, citizen-led government to allow the states, which are first and foremost sovereign. So it goes in this ladder in this country.
That's still DEI for those states
Citizens,
and for those country areas.
No, because it's colorblind. It's not that.
It's
we
wait,
get white
again.
states
DEI
more
is
and
not
black
only based
states
on
more.
race.
Hold on a second.
Diversity for country, diversity for rural, equity
Hold
for
on a
rural,
second.
and inclusion of
So,
rural.
no, that's an interesting,
DEI.
it's an interesting point. So
You think
diversity.
DEI is only race
let
because
me ask you a
you
question.
associate it with Kamala Harris?
Let me ask you a question. Is there a single instance in corporate America where DEI is implemented where diversity means anything other than skin color diversity?
So diversity.
No, it's not
women,
about viewpoint.
Women.
What? Fine. How about chromosome or diversity or skin color?
So skin color. There's gender. You have to move the goalpost a little bit because you got destroyed there. All right, but there's also.
Well, no, I'm just asking a very simple question. The answer is no, because our system
That
of
doesn't
government.
mean that's not DEI. It still meets your
saying the
definition.
Senate is DEI.
What was your definition though?
What is?
What was your definition? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Diversity doesn't
Well,
only
hold
apply to
on.
race.
Let me
You're just
tell
saying
you-
other people defined
Parker, let me
diversity,
finish.
equity, inclusion to be
Let me
based on
finish.
race. You didn't though.
Let me finish. Because you're saying you didn't earn it. You know who did earn it? South Dakota and North Dakota when they charted themselves into states.
Wyoming didn't earn it because they have less of a
formed themselves
population.
into a state. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Who really wants to go? I don't want to pick on. I don't want to pick on somebody who doesn't want to get picked on. Okay. You want to debate?
Wait, what is the topic?
Whatever you want. So you're the affirmative on the negative.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
You're good with 10 minutes. I don't want to put you in a spot you don't want to be in.
No, let's do it. This is fun.
You sure? Okay.
Okay, I guess the claim I'm making is that affirmative action is constitutional.
Tell me about your claim.
I wanted to talk about affirmative action because we haven't really gotten to it, and it's recently been revoked based on the new Supreme Court ruling. And I firmly believe that affirmative action is constitutional and is a right that certain American citizens deserve. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, the 14th Amendment allows for equal protection regardless of race, and it's a colorblind amendment. And the whole idea of affirmative action is to try to give people extra boost based on their skin color or their racial background, which by definition cuts underneath the idea of equal protection.
Okay. So do you know why the 14th Amendment was founded and the Equal Protection and Equal Rights Act
Yeah, the 14th
exists?
Amendment was a post-Civil War amendment. 14,
Yes.
15, 16, 17 were all during Reconstruction.
So what was it in response to?
Slavery.